Hi guys, so we have had our Sunstream Evolve 30 infrared sauna in our home just over a year, and I'm going to try and keep this video pretty short, but I already know it's going to be mammothly long because there is so much to cover. So I'm going to put it into chapters so you can kind of fast forward to what you want to kind of learn. But honestly, there's so much to consider when deciding on the right infrared sauna for you. It's going to be a little bit different for everyone, but when choosing the best infrared sauna brand, making sure it's worth it for you, making sure you're going to use it. So in this infrared sauna review, I'm going to try and cover why we chose this one, all of the considerations we took into mind when choosing the best brand and the one that was right for us. And that included things like the materials used, the EMF levels, the kind of infrared sauna, the wavelengths, and the size of it as well. Because it's not exactly a cheap thing to put in your home. It is a bit of an investment. So you want to make sure you do it right. You want to make sure you're going to use it and that it's worth it for you. And this is how we ended up choosing the Sunstream Evolve 30 sauna. I also want to cover some of the things like the delivery, the unboxing, how hard it was to assemble, how long it took to assemble, the things you have to do but whilst you're assembling and before you assemble it. Okay, there's a lot, but we're going to get to it. Okay, so let's start with some of the things you need to consider when looking for your at-home infrared sauna. So besides the brand, which we'll get to, or the considerations and things you need to look for, the features of the infrared sauna, one of the first questions you're going to need to know is whether it's going to be an inside or outside sauna. Because if it's inside, great, it's just the electrical you have to worry about. If it's outside, there are ones specifically designed to be outside infrared saunas. You can do kind of other models, but as long as you use them with a cover, but it can kind of like shorten their lifespan. It might void out the warranty. So definitely check with the manufacturer and make sure you're getting the right sauna for where you want to place it. You're also going to want to make sure you have the right electrical for your infrared sauna at home. Different ones have different requirements. I'm going to get my husband to explain more about that later on and why we have it on an outside wall. You're also going to want to decide whether you want curbside delivery or full installation if they offer it. If it was just me on my own, I would have had to do the full installation. Because I had my husband and a friend do it, they managed to do it just the two of them. But remember, this is kind of a 200-pound-ish delivery for the three-person one. There is no way I'm lifting that. One person probably can't lift it on their own either. So that's something to think about installing it as well. It's not just a case of the weight. It's if you have kind of like one wall balance and then you come in with the second one, someone's going to have to hold that first wall like this one whilst you're slotting in the next one. Otherwise, it's just going to fall over. Something else you're going to want to think about when you're deciding on the best infrared sauna at home for you is the size of it. So not just on your space, but how many people are going to use it at a time. Is it just you? Is it just one other person, two other people? And also it tends to be the bigger you get, obviously it's more heat and it's going to cost you more to run. Although in saying that, we really haven't noticed much difference using ours, and we use it about 3 times a week each, and it's on about an hour, hour and a half at a time, kind of 45 minutes to heat up, 20 minutes in it. So we have the Sunstream Evolve 30, which is supposed to be a 3-person one. I'll get to that later when we kind of get to the review part of the infrared sauna. Okay, so now I kind of want to share with you some of the features we looked at when we were deciding on the best infrared sauna and why we ended up with this one. So there are cheaper versions of IR saunas, but you tend to lack the quality with those and run into some issues like EMF levels and toxins from the glues, the materials used. So one of the things you're going to want to look for is advanced infrared technology carbon panels, and specifically nanocarbon panels, which the Sunstream infrared saunas have. The other thing is the materials your infrared sauna is made of. You really want to try and go for natural wood. And Sunstream's is 100% solid Canadian hemlock. There's no plywood and there's no particle board. So one of the key features you're going to want to look for, and the best infrared saunas will offer this, is low EMF or zero EMF levels. One of the reasons we chose Sunstream is because they have ultra low EMF levels and near zero ELF levels. Obviously, size is a feature you're going to want to look at as well. I'm going to turn this light off because I can see it flickering in the camera and it's probably really distracting. It doesn't flicker in person, it's just on camera for some reason. I don't know much about lights, but it creates that flickering effect. If warranty is something that matters to you, obviously look at the warranty and what voids it, such as like maybe putting an inside one. Outside is going to avoid it, so really be careful of that. We chose Sunstream again as our infrared sauna because it comes with a lifetime warranty. Kind of the same issue with return policy, right? You want to make sure it has a really good return policy. Often cheaper brands have 0 returns, final sale. So especially if you're picking up something on sale, make sure it's not final sale. And if there's return shipping costs, how much that's going to be. Remember, this is £200. Like, that's going to cost you a lot in shipping to return if it's not covered in the return policy. So one thing that's really important to my husband and I, whether it's at a restaurant, whether it's at a store, whatever it is customer service and support, especially with new technology or things you're not sure about. We didn't know anything really about EMF and wavelengths and installation. And so having good customer support goes a long way. We kind of had it down to 3 brands when we were choosing our best infrared sauna for the home. We chose Sunstream because their customer support was amazing. When we were emailing, we were getting the actual owner and the responses were so fast, and obviously he was super knowledgeable as well. Obviously, home infrared saunas are designed to sweat a lot, so being able to clean it is really important. One of the reasons we chose the wood panels rather than the cloth panels is A, that's less likely to have toxins come out of the materials. B, it's easier to clean. So the Sunstream Evolve 30 infrared sauna is really cool because all of these pop on and off with a magnet super easily. And then the one on the floor just comes out like this. It's not even on magnets, so it's really easy just to pick it up and clean. So another thing you're going to want to consider with the features you're looking for in your home infrared sauna is the amount of infrared panels and the location of them. So you want as many panels as possible and a maximum amount going onto your core of your body. Sunstream is amazing because it has literally 300 degrees. I'll tell you more about that later, but I just want to show you quickly. So what you can see is all of them are aimed at the core of your body. And then there's also ones that are on the door. So it's going to hit your stomach when it's closed. And then they're also on the back of the bench. So it's hitting the back of your legs. Okay, another thing to consider is the location of where the temperature of the sauna is being read from. So I've got this really low right now so I don't melt being in here filming. Having one on the wall is going to get a much more accurate reading of the ambient temperature than having it on the ceiling because obviously heat rises. So kind of look for that feature if you can. One of the things that took us the longest to research and decide upon was the wavelength. There are so many different ones like the NIR, the FAR, the full spectrum, but we read in multiple places that full spectrum is more hype than actually being more beneficial than a lot of other ones. So we ended up with the far infrared wavelength. And then other things to consider are kind of some additional features you may or may not want, such as we wanted the Bluetooth speakers because that way we can listen to podcasts in there, we can listen to music in there if we're not reading. They paired really easily with our phones after installation. The volume's easy to deal with. So that's just a nice pro if you don't want to just chill in there. You can even play your meditations in there. So one of the other features we wanted was lights that change color. They're not light therapy, but I feel like lights affect your mood anyway. So this was kind of cool. The fact if I want to feel energized, I kind of go with more of a red light. If I want to feel chill and relaxed, I'll do one of the blue lights. It's just a fun feature to play around with if you want that. Ours also came with these really daggy looking hats, but if you're one of these people that struggles to sweat much, these really help obviously keep the heat in your head, and if your head's hot, that tends to make you sweat a lot faster. I don't use them because I do not have a problem sweating in there, but that's just if you get these and the complimentary, I think it came free with ours anyway, like the dry body brush did. It's just a nice feature, but not necessarily one you need to look for when you're deciding on your infrared sauna. I did kind of mention the price before when I was talking about cheaper models. The price is something to factor in, and we did go with one of the more expensive brands just because we kind of read negative things about some of the materials and glues used in some of the cheaper models. So when I was talking about those materials before, that's sometimes why they're more expensive, but you do pay for what you get. You're also going to want to look at the shipping. I did kind of talk about this before. The shipping can add up really quickly because this is a mammoth heavy piece to ship or multiple pieces. So definitely check your shipping rates as well and compare the total prices at checkout before making a final decision. Okay, let me show you the whole unboxing. So this is what the infrared sauna delivery packaging looks like. It is big. We had the curbside delivery. One thing to consider when you're planning unpacking this is how many people you're going to need, because the whole thing weighs 200 pounds total, and then each of those boxes is about 100 pounds each. So if 2 of you can lift that, great. If you can't, you might want to get more people involved in unpacking this. You're also going to need somewhere to put all of the trash, all of the packaging, whether you kind of order a skip or you have someone with a truck that you can take it to the skip or dump, whatever you want to call it yourself, because there is a lot of packaging. You're also going to want to make sure you have space to lay everything out so you can see everything before you assemble it. If you have a big room you're putting it in, you can just do it there. We did it in the garage because we were putting it in a smaller space and obviously somewhere that's safe for the glass to be. This is the infrared floor and it will have a grate that goes over the top of that panel so that you can stand on it.
That is the back wall, and then you have your side walls and your glass door.
And these are the accessories, kind of the back rack, places to put your feet. And then these are the glass panels that are going to go in the walls. So lots of parts. Okay, they took them an hour and a half to put this together. So I'm going to try and make this as quick as possible and just tell you the essentials. So these are furniture pads. It's one of the first things you're going to put on everything just to protect the floor. And it also means you can move it around later on. You're then going to want to find the 2 power points on the infrared sauna and make sure they line up. Then there's little slots on each panel so you can make sure that each one kind of fits into each other like a jigsaw puzzle. So obviously when you're putting on the roof, you're going to want to make sure the speakers and the lights are on the inside. The last corner was the hardest to put in, especially to make sure it was all level. But they do give you a couple of tools and strips to try and help you with this. So one of the things you have to consider is you can't just plug in an infrared sauna. You need special electrical done in advance. So that might change where you put it. And obviously it'll change the overall price of how expensive it is. Honestly, the main thing is to just have patience with it. It took, like I said, 1.5 hours to put it together with the 2 of them and me just filming and getting in the way probably. When you're putting in the interior benches, that was kind of tricky to get the right angle of the side panel for the bench. And then the top panel was really easy just to slide on top. But when you do that, there is a plug you have to connect before you put the lid down on the bench. And then you can put the final grid panels in. One last tip, when you're assembling the stools, one side has to be a certain way to be able to screw the top on. So pay attention to which way it's facing. Okay, so this is the finished sauna fully installed. And then this is what it looks like when you've assembled it. It does come with the free backrests as well. The light on the ceiling, the Bluetooth speakers, and then the removable wood grids. And then this is going to be your panel for changing the intensity, the heat, and the time you have it on for, as well as your overhead light. Okay, so one of the reasons I said we had it inside was electrical, and I said I'd let my husband explain, so I'm gonna let him do the talking.
So when you start doing your research on saunas, there's a couple different options with the electrical. One is a basic one, and every sauna is not gonna come with it. Some might give you options for different kinds of electrical. One is where you just literally plug it into the socket on the wall. If you do that, it'll most likely be a lot more expensive to run and take a lot longer to heat it up. And a lot of the better saunas won't even give you that option. Sometimes you're going to be able to just take that plug and have an electrician, or you, if you're super handy, change it to a different kind of plug that'll work. Or a lot of times you're going to have to run a dedicated circuit from your power box outside to wherever you're going to want to have the sauna. And if you're going to have to do that, that's when a lot of planning is going to come into effect. If you're going to have it on the outside wall like we did, our power box is down there, so we could literally run a straight line on the outside of the house right up and pop it in on the side. If you have it on an interior wall, then you're going to have a conduit visible on there, or basically take your walls apart to run stuff through it and then put it back together. So that's going to get a lot more expensive. But doing the dedicated conduit is going to make it heat up a lot faster and be a lot cheaper. You know, we use this probably 4 to 5 times a week, and we really haven't noticed much of a difference in our electric bill at all. So because we were running the power on the outside, we could have the electrical outlet put exactly where we wanted to. So we had it run up, so it's right here. I think they give us about 12 feet of cable, so it didn't necessarily have to be that close, but this way we could.
So if you fast forwarded to this chapter for the Sunstream infrared sauna review, I'm going to share some of the things I was sharing earlier and some of the features and why we chose this as the best infrared sauna for our home. So the first thing was it was natural wood. It was 100% Canadian hemlock. There's no particle board and there's no plywood. It also has some of the better technology. It has advanced infrared nanocarbon heater panels. So it's definitely a feature if you don't go with Sunstream, you want to look for in your infrared sauna. Obviously, EMF levels are a concern with IR saunas. This one has ultra low EMF levels and near zero ELF levels. Another thing you have to be really careful with is IR saunas is the glue used in them. Obviously, heat and glue, you can end up with a lot of toxins. And the whole point of these is to be healthy, not to get all of those toxins you're breathing in. So Sunstream infrared saunas use Titebond glue, which is actually FDA food contact safe glue. The other thing I talked about was the location of the panels, wanting to get maximum amount covering the entire core. The panels here cover you 360 degrees. The ones I noticed missing on a lot of other brands were the ones located on the door panels here. Obviously you want that so you're getting your stomach covered whilst you're in the sauna. Okay, so this is the Sunstream Evolve 30 infrared sauna. It's supposed to be for 3 people. So with the 2 of us, it's kind of comfortable. You could fit 3 in, that's what, but you're going to be really tight. That's not comfortable for me. 2's a good amount of people. So in choosing your sauna size, I would say if you want it for 3 people, get a 4-person. If you want it for 2 people, get a 3 people, and just definitely read the dimensions and take that into consideration. Now, this isn't something I've ever changed, but it does have adjustable intensity for the infrared. We always just leave it at full, obviously not full temperature right now, so I don't sweat and melt, but the intensity you can change as well. So you can have different levels. We just leave it at 100%. The temperature goes all the way up to 65 degrees. We found it takes about 40 minutes, 45 minutes to reach that temperature. We normally leave it at around 60 because 65 is really, really intense. 60 is hot enough. And then we set that to 100 and leave it. I'll put it on whilst I do my Peloton, by the time I come out, it's ready. And then obviously the light button, which turns the overhead lights on and off. But the intensity is something you might want to look for, especially if you're new to infrared saunas. Sunstream saunas also have a lifetime warranty. I like the fact that it didn't have cloths on here because we talked about it being all natural materials. It has wooden grates, A, to stop yourself burning so you don't have any contact with the panels accidentally, and B, magnetic snaps just so they're really easy to take on and off to clean. And then the floor panel just pops out like I showed you earlier to clean there. Glass, really easy to clean as well. Obviously it has the Bluetooth speakers, the light in there. It came with the backrest. It came with 2 stools that you can put inside if you want to put your feet up or change the configuration, or we just leave them outside to put our towels on. This one also came with built-in Bluetooth speakers, which paired really, really easy to connect and set up. And it's just easy if you want to listen to your meditations or podcasts or music whilst you're in here. So does it work? How much are you going to sweat? Well, my husband and I sweat a ton in here. That's why we don't bother with the little felt hats. But for me, I get off my bike, so I'm already sweating. So it just kind of helps me continue to sweat. I would say after about 10 minutes, I am drenched. I'm pouring from head to toe. My husband literally starts sweating the minute he shuts the door. Tips with it, I would say keep towels outside. We always lay a towel down in here when we're sitting on it. Always bring water with you. It's really, really intense. Like it's a very intense sauna. Infrared saunas just really create that sweat and the detoxification. So you're going to want to make sure you're really rehydrating and just don't get out and collapse. I'm not really going to talk about the benefits of an infrared sauna because if you're watching this, you probably have read all about them and that's why you want to get them. So, but do we feel and see the benefits? So obviously we can feel the sweat, right? And you see the sweat, but it definitely makes me feel more energized when I'm going in the day. I definitely feel if I've had too much to drink the night before, it kind of feels more energized and like just good to sweat everything out the next day. I definitely feel like my skin is a lot more glowing from using it because obviously you're getting all that blood flow and all the oxygen to your skin as long as you shower straight away afterwards, because if you let the sweat dry on you, you're giving all the toxins a chance to reabsorb, and I tend to find then I break out as well on my face and back and chest. So make sure you shower afterwards. That'd be one of my tips with using it. Another tip with using it would be to put it in a good location where you're going to see it every day, because our hot tub is kind of out of sight, out of mind. We rarely use it because we forget about it. I feel like because we have this in such a good location and we see it, we use it. So we've had it over a year. We still both use it 3 or 4 times a week. And then just kind of think about timing for it, right? So if you're going to the gym, maybe even put it on before you go to the gym. It does shut off after 60 minutes, so this model, so it might not be long enough for you. I wish it had kind of like, you know, an app where you could just turn it on remotely, but it doesn't. So normally if my husband goes to the gym, he'll just text me on his way back and say, can you put this sauna on for me? For myself, I'll turn it on my way to do my Peloton, and then by the time I'm done with my class, it's at heat. So just factor that in, factoring in the 40 to 45 minutes heating up period so that it works with your schedule. So is it worth it? Would we buy this brand of infrared sauna again? Absolutely. I think because we use it so much and we feel and see the benefits, it's definitely be worth it to us. So definitely spend the time putting in the research, making sure it has all the features you want, making sure it's in a space you're going to see it and use it. And happy shopping. I hope you find an infrared sauna you love, and I hope you found this video helpful for you. If you like this video, don't forget to give it a quick thumbs up and subscribe. Okay, I'll start again. So one of the also has some of them of impact safe brand glue. So Sunstream, so I can't get that out. FDA food contact safe. So Sunstream IR saunas actually use FDA food contact safe glue. And B, magnetic snaps, just so they're really easy to take on and off to clean.